It's going to be a day of brainstorming, listening to some great people, some very world-renowned motivational speakers, executive coaches, top-notch entrepreneurs, authors as well. So you can just imagine, what really lies in store for all of you today. Because when you go back home tonight, we hope that you are left inspired. We hope that you are left energized and motivated, especially with your personality being enriched with new thoughts, ideas, and most importantly, possibility. Well, our lineup of speakers have been carefully curated to deliver just that kind of experience. Now, first up, we're going to begin the day on a rather healthy note. It's going to be a fitness session, and this one is someone who personally inspires me as well. He's someone whose journey to fitness began with swimming, and he's come a long way from that. He recently completed the Ironman triathlon, reaching a new fitness goal. It's very interesting, fitness and just keeping yourself fit. It's all about the mind by the end of the day. Now, before I introduce our chief guest, I would like to play a small video.
I'm too sexy for my love, too sexy for my love, love's going to leave me. So sexy it hurts, and I'm too sexy for Milan, too sexy for Milan, New York and Japan. I'm too sexy for your party, too sexy for your party, the way I'm disco dancing. I'm a model, you know what I mean, and I do my little turn on the catwalk, yeah, on the catwalk. On the catwalk, yeah, I do my little turn on the catwalk. I'm too sexy for my cat, too sexy for my cat, poor pussy cat. I'm too sexy for my love, too sexy for my love, love's going to leave me. And I'm too sexy for this song.
Happy birthday, Milind! We love you!
Is it your birthday today? Well, I don't know about anything else. I'm looking forward to becoming 50, and wow, and I'm glad my husband is not here, so let me just allow myself to drool. Milind Soman, we are fortunate to have you, the Iron Man, model, actor, and someone who's so passionate about fitness, someone who really advocates, how to be healthy. Could we have you on stage for our session, Iron Man, Fit Body, and most importantly, Fit Mind. Can I have a huge round of applause? It's early morning. Let's kickstart this session with a lot of energy. Can we also have our very own Mr. Fit, Jamal Sheikh, Editorial Director of Men's Health and Rob Report.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jamal Sheikh. And I'm here to introduce to you a man who's giving every 40-year-old a run for his money. Why? Because he's a decade older and can stare down a guy half his age in strength, stamina, and resolve. For those of you who haven't realized, here's an interesting fact. Mr. Fit at 50, Milind Soman, is actually exactly the same age as three of our top Bollywood stars of the day. Shah Rukh Khan, Salman Khan, and who did I forget? Amir Khan. Yet, while those actors are putting on makeup and playing guys 20 years younger than them, Milind Soman is going and participating in the world's toughest race and winning it in style. Let's hear it for Milind Soman again. In July this year, Milind Soman swam 3.8 kilometers, bicycled 180 kilometers, and ran for another 42 kilometers to successfully complete the Ironman challenge. Back in India, the photograph of him emerging from the chilly waters of the Swiss lake went viral. And even though Milind was one of 4 Indian men to have won the Ironman title this year, a country ignorant of the exact nature of such endurance races assumed Milind had actually come first. The celebrations, though misguided, were not all in waste. For what Man Milind Soman had done that day was redefine the very idea of how fit an Indian man could be. He became the gold standard of fitness for the man in his 50s, 40s, 30s, and even for the guy in his 20s. Ladies and gentlemen, with us this morning to jumpstart our metabolism, set some hearts racing, and show us the fit way of life, please join me in welcoming Milind Soman.
Thank you, Jamal.
Milind, in our brief conversation this morning, we realized we've known each other for almost 2 decades now. Yet you're looking younger.
It doesn't show on you either.
Well, it's not about me, it's about you. You are looking younger than the party animal I knew who was surrounded by women all the time. Doing away with women has done good for you, or has it...
Who said it?
Or has the fit
So
way
I was
of
just
life
about to say what has
changed?
changed. Besides
What's changed?
Besides the number.
What's changed? How have you aged so gracefully?
Well, to me, age doesn't really mean anything. As a number, of course. I mean, they say that age is just a number. But even when the Ironman challenge came along, one of the reasons I did it was that at every decade people ask, how are you going to celebrate? It's like when you're 30, what are you going to do? What's the plan? When you're 40, what's the plan? When you're 50, how are you going to celebrate this? And for me, of course, I've never had a birthday party. I don't know if that's a sad thing or a happy thing. Never. But I said, there should be something I must do. A lot of people started asking me, what are you going to do? And I said, I must do something to commemorate this huge occasion. And I started looking around for a kind of physical challenge. Someone suggested the Ironman. I didn't know what it was exactly. I'd heard of it. I didn't know what it was. But when I read about the distances, I said, yeah, this is a good thing to prepare for. And it might be a good way to commemorate the 50. And I did it. That was it. So that's what the number means. It's actually what people put in your head. Otherwise, I know people from my mother's generation or my grandparents' generation who never celebrated their birthdays and never thought about how old they were at all. They just did what they had to do.
What an absolutely fantastic way to celebrate your 50th. I think we should keep playing that video with the happy birthday, because it's a birthday celebration that's going to last more than just 1 year. Milind, growing older is something we all experience. It's not an easy thing. The body changes. It responds differently. How has your body, you've always been into fitness from a very young age. How has your body changed? How has the response changed?
Well, obviously, I think just after the age of 25 or close to the age of 30, you feel that your metabolism is kind of slowing down. You're not filled with the kind of effortless energy that you have in your teens and so on. But the thing is to keep working at it. Your body responds, your body adapts, and if you work hard, you can remain at the same level of fitness that you want to. Now, I don't know how long that will last, but at least till the age of 50, nothing's gone wrong. And I just feel that there are two sides to it. One, physically, your body is slowing down if you don't work at it. If you work at it, it'll stay in the same place. I feel the same as I felt when I was 22, physically. But mentally, you grow so much more. I mean, emotionally, you grow so much more. You have so much more wisdom, you have so much more emotional balance, you have so much more awareness and understanding of the world, that it's actually easier for you to be fit. And to me, physical fitness is not such a big deal. Your body adapts so amazingly to everything that you throw at it. It's the mind that needs to be worked on. It's the mind that requires the exercise. It needs the discipline. It needs the focus, the concentration. It needs the exercise every single day. Because the mind is always getting distracted. And if you are able to create a positive mindset through working hard at it, then you will always take the right choices, and your body is going to be fit, and you're going to be happy, and you're going to be satisfied and successful, and all the rest of it.
Well, you've obviously aged and become stronger in mind, but let's now quickly go back to the Ironman challenge, which you said you took up to commemorate your 50th. I do know you got into the challenge a bit late. You didn't have as much training as some of the other participants did. How did you prepare? What kept you going? Was there any moment when you felt you wouldn't be able to finish? And is it really true that you ran a part of the race in flip-flops?
There's too many questions.
I'll go one by one.
No, okay. So I did I did go in flip-flops. So let me ask the last question. Because I started running barefoot about 4 years ago. I've been doing endurance running since the last 14 years. I started in 2003. And about 4 years ago, I started exploring the most natural way to run, which is without shoes, just to see what is the difference that it would have and what I would feel. And of course, I felt a lot of advantages personally for myself. And so when I wanted to do Ironman, I decided to do it barefoot, but they don't allow it. And they also don't allow flip-flops. But I told them that I had a medical condition.
Okay. What medical condition?
That they didn't ask me. Okay. So but they said, oh, you have a medical condition? Okay, you can wear flip-flops. And they actually had a special briefing session for the volunteers saying, when you see this guy passing and he's not wearing any shoes, don't pull him out. So it was great. I did that. What was the other question?
You were the star of the race there as well.
I guess. You have to keep doing things.
How did you prepare? You had a shorter period of time to prepare.
Well, when I first decided to do it, which was last year, and I decided on the Zurich Ironman because I had a couple of months of some less activity, I would say, before that. So I thought I would be able to prepare. I asked a friend of mine who's done the Ironman a few times. She's a lady from America called Kimberly Shah. She's an American married to a Gujarati in Ahmedabad. Very, very fit. And I asked her for a training program. So she sent me one which was 35 hours a week. So I said, there's no way that I can put my entire life on hold and train for 35 hours a week, which is basically 7 hours a day, 5 days a week, or 5 hours a day, 7 days a week, whichever way you look at it. And so I asked her for something less intense. So she sent me a 25 hours a week program. So I said, it's not possible, 5 hours a day. There'll be nothing else that I can do for those 2 or 3 months. So I decided to create my own program. So I finally came down to about 13 hours a week, which I think is doable for anyone. And I was able to prepare sufficiently and complete it. Very easily, I might add.
And when you were running the race, when you were running the race, was there any point, or when you were preparing for it, at any point you felt you wouldn't be able to do it before your 50th?
Well, we always feel that something is difficult before we do it, But once you're into the preparation and I say, okay, now I am able to swim 3.8 kilometers easily, and of course I went up to 5 kilometers. And then I had been a swimmer, so even though I hadn't been in a pool for 25 years, I had never cycled more than about 5 or 6 kilometers, but I had to do 180. Yes. So that seemed like a bit of a challenge. But I think the biggest challenge is really getting yourself to believe you can do it first. And it's not a physical challenge in the Ironman for me, because cycling is the key. It's a big distance. It takes a long time in the Ironman. It's 180 kilometers. So if you get a puncture, which you have to fix yourself, that could actually stop you from making the cutoff. So there's a cutoff time after the swim, a cutoff time after the cycling, and of course the last cutoff. If you don't make it, then you're not an Ironman. So if I had, say, 2 punctures, which would take me 40 minutes to fix, I would have probably not finished the race. But it had nothing to do with my physical or mental fitness or preparedness. That was not a problem at all.
And what's the first thought that went through your mind when you finished the race at the end of 16 hours and 9 minutes?
Well, that was easy.
That was easy?
It was actually, I tell people that, the Ironman, it's a great title. It's a great challenge. But it's not something that's impossible to do. It is absolutely doable. Any person here, sitting here in the audience today, can do the Ironman. You can do it. Anyone can do it. It's just a matter of preparing for it, like anything in life.
And Milind, you've always been the center of attention, most popular amongst the women. You've dated some of the hottest women in the country. Has women's attention at the age of 50 increased after you've become Mr. Ironman?
I think so.
Tell us more than that.
What is it is actually surprising for me, even and surprising for my friends and my family, that I still have the kind of attention from women and men as well, of all ages, So sometimes you feel that, okay, I'm 50 now, you'll get attention from 50-year-old women. But I have attention from 20-year-old women. And I say, how do you... And when they meet me and say, we love you. And I'll say, but, when I did Made in India, which is a video for those who don't know, a music video, which I did 20 years ago, they probably weren't even born, So it's, I don't know why it is like that, but I guess it's a blessing.
Well,
Yeah.
any specific blessing that you particularly treasure?
Is that like another question?
Yes, that's another question. It's a part of the same earlier question.
Are you asking me if I have a girlfriend?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do.
Yes.
She's 24.
So the average age of your girlfriends has gone down after you've done
It has actually.
Yes.
And it may have to do with fitness,
Yes.
you know. So that's another incentive. You know, fitness has a lot of incentives attached to it. And one of those, but not all you guys look married.
So one of the
I don't
questions...
know. Anybody who's not married? Not married and awake? Anybody who's awake? Okay. So, yeah, it's been a great advantage, I think. My first, let me continue.
Yes, go on. Go on, please.
You know, when you're young, somehow you tend to have older girlfriends. You know, so I had my second girlfriend, I think was 15 years older than me. So today, she's 65. And in fact, I went to an old age home recently and I met a lot of 65-year-old women and it suddenly struck me that one of my ex-girlfriends was this age. It was a shock, you know. But then, as I grew older, by the time I was 30, my girlfriend started getting younger. And so when I was 30, my girlfriend was about 6 years younger than me. When I was 40, she was 15 years younger than me. 45, about 20 years younger than me. And now she's 26 years younger than me. And they're all amazing.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So turns out we
Who
have a
can
lot
explain
more
that?
to learn from Milind than...
Is there anybody
than
who
just-
can explain that? How does that happen? Anybody here with the wisdom of their years?
So we'll get to the questions from you to the audience at a later point. But right now we're going to open it up to questions. But before that, I'm going to ask you one last question. It came actually on Twitter when I put up this thing that I'm going to have a chat with you. Funny question, a little provocative. What kind of a positive impact does being fit have as you age on your sex life?
A positive impact. Well, the thing is, like I mentioned, it's mentally you really, there's a lot more change, I would say, mentally. And you begin to enjoy and appreciate things a lot more, which I'm sure everybody understands. You know, so physically, you really try hard to keep it together, including your sex life, but you really appreciate it much more. You appreciate everything that you get, everything that you see, everything that you feel. You really appreciate it much more. You understand the value of things much more.
Right. Great, Milind. We're going to open the floor to questions now. I'd like people to please raise their hand and introduce themselves before they ask a question. Any questions?
Okay, let me go
Avantika,
first.
right there.
Yeah, it's always the women. Good.
You're
I
enjoying all of
appreciate
them.
it. I appreciate it.
No, Milind, while personally I do believe that it's all about the mind and to train your mind, but if I speak about myself, presently I am into, you know, CrossFit training and, of course, circuit training, which is more about muscular endurance. And while the mind tells you to go on and, you know, achieve the targets, you also have to realize that the body is also aging. I'm not 50 yet, but I am a mother, and my body is transforming. So in your experience, if we just specifically talk about, you know, if we just concentrate on the body and what really one needs to do as we go ahead while maintaining ourselves. Primarily just from the body. What are the risks involved? What are the precautions that you take at your age when you train as well?
Well, the thing is, most people, let me say that this whole thing about running for your health is a very new phenomenon. It's a very new phenomenon that has only started over the last few decades, probably from the 70s. Nobody used to work out for their health before that. Very few people. Mostly people exercised for a competitive sport. You know, the first thing that people took up maybe in the 70s or late 60s was aerobics. And after that, it was jogging and running. And now it's really exploded. There's a revolution across the world and new forms of fitness and all of that. We've moved away from gyms. In fact, even working out in a gym probably started in the 60s, not before that, or the 50s, you know, for people who just wanted to maintain their health. So what happens is, who are these people who want to maintain their health? They are at the age of probably 35. They've achieved something in life, they've settled down a little bit, and they begin to see some signs of aging, and they say, okay, we need to do stuff to maintain our health. But what they don't have is they have not exercised probably for 20 years. All children run. All children play. But by the age of, say, 12 or 13, we stop doing that. In our teenage, we stop doing it. It's not cool to make that effort anymore for most people. So you've probably not run, you've not exercised for 20 years. Your muscles don't exist. They've deteriorated completely. Your mind is saying, okay, I've got to go. You go to the gym. Your cardiovascular system responds really quickly because it's been doing all the work for 20 years without you realizing it. And suddenly your body is filled with energy, there's oxygen going everywhere, and you say, wow, this is really working for me. And you push yourself and you hurt yourself because you don't have the muscles to support your cardio system. Those muscles take a long time to develop. They take maybe a year, maybe 2 years, depending on your body's response to exercise, sometimes even 3 or 4 years. So you have to be patient with the body to bring it up to speed. And once you have reached a certain level of your potential, your body and your mind working together, I'm not saying mind over matter, but really working together in sync, then the potential is limitless. So one should not say, okay, let's challenge the limits from the word go. No, understand the level which you're at, where your body is, where your muscles are, what needs to be worked on. Reach that level at which you will understand that now I can begin to push myself. And that might take time. And you have to give yourself that time. And then you will see the value.
Will sure do. Definitely. I'll keep those words of wisdom with me. Can we open the floor? Yes, I'll hand over the mic.
Another lady. All the men are shy.
Oh, you have a mic.
Men are always shy.
Or competitive.
Are you shy?
I'm not shy. I used to be shy. Women made me fearless.
You're not shy, Milind?
I have never seen you shy.
Okay,
then
now we're talking
let's
about
see
shy.
the six-pack then.
Absolutely.
Go for
I could
it.
be embarrassed, but I'm not shy.
Okay, I was going to ask you, you haven't talked anything about your diet. I mean, to be able to do the Ironman, I'm sure it required certain kind of diet. So if you could talk about
Yes,
that
so
a little
for me-
bit. And I have one more question.
Sorry.
Because everyone from the India Today group asks multiple
Two questions always confuse me. Sorry, say it again.
And the second question is, how do you get your mind and body to align? Do you talk to your body? Or what do you do?
Talking is a good option.
So what do you do? Hello, body, how are you?
Okay, the first thing about the food. So everybody asks me what I eat. In 2012, I ran from Delhi to Bombay. And the first thing that people ask me is, what did you eat? And my answer was, I ate dal and rice and bananas. So there's a big debate on about recovery and what your body needs, and you need these proteins, and you need these carbohydrates, and you need this, and you need that. But what I feel, personally, is that my body understands what it needs. It really understands what it needs. I don't need to feed it anything in particular. I need to have a balanced diet. I need to eat everything that is available, and my body will choose what it needs, and it will use what it needs. So the only thing I don't eat, so I stay away from packaged and processed foods because we know they're harmful. Everybody here is aware that packaged and processed foods are not good for you. And sugar, white refined sugar, is something that I completely avoid. And I see it as a poison, and I don't like to subject my body to poison, so I don't eat white refined sugar. But otherwise, I eat everything that is available. I have minimized my non-vegetarian food intake. I've been eating non-vegetarian food since I was a kid. But now I also believe that it's not a very clean fuel if we look at food as fuel. I prefer to get my nutrients from vegetarian food. And basically that's what I do. I go a lot again by what I feel. So when I'm eating something, I feel it. I feel it in my mind. It affects me. It affects my emotions. It affects my state of mind. We know that food affects us. Smell affects us. And also when the food is in your stomach and it's being digested, it gives you a certain feeling, either a comfortable feeling or an uncomfortable feeling, and one must go with that. It's always best to eat food that your body digests easily, that your body is comfortable with. Even though it tastes good, if your body is not comfortable with it, you should not be eating it. What's the other question? The body and the mind. So the body and the mind, what I found through running, through endurance running, and I think this is the reason that endurance running has become so popular in the world today. Again, it just started, I would say, in the early 70s, where, just to give you an example, of the Boston Marathon, which is the oldest marathon in the modern era. It's over 100 years old now. But till the 70s or the late 60s, there were about 200 or 300, a few hundred people who used to line up at the start of the Boston Marathon. But today, there are about 500,000 people who apply. Just in the last 20 or 30 years, it has grown that much. Today in America, which we know as a really, okay, if there are any Americans here, forgive me, as a really unfit country, but still, the number of people who run there at least once a week is 30 million. That is how much running has grown. That is how much the awareness of running as a fitness medium has grown over these very few years. And I think the biggest reason for that, this is my personal opinion, of course people talk about endorphins and they talk about serotonin and they talk about this and that, but I feel that endurance running really brings all your energies together. It's like a meditation. And of course it doesn't happen in the first 100 meters or the first 5 kilometers or the 10 kilometers. To me, it happened after 25 kilometers when I started, when I could reach 25 kilometers and I crossed 25 kilometers, running it comfortably. I suddenly felt that everything, all my energies, my mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, all coming together. It's a kind of bliss, what they call in the zone. We may have heard of this term, in the zone. It's when all your energies come together. When you can just focus or even not focus in one space. You are all in one space. You're not distracted, you're not scattered, you're all there. And I think that is something that's really addictive. And that happens only with something that is like meditation. For other people, it could be cycling, it could be swimming, it could be just sitting down and focusing on a point. But I feel that there is something that you need to do, some activity, some effort you need to make that brings all your energies together. And I think running really fulfills that.
25 kilometers, like, okay, maybe not.
Well, I'll tell you, running is addictive. So you don't, it's like coffee. You know, I mean, I'm sure there are people here who love coffee and they have like 5 or 6 cups and everybody tells them it's bad for them, but they still do more and more. It's like that. So running is like that. So when I started running, I used to hate it. I only started running because when I was a kid, I had this really vague idea that to run a marathon is something that all real men do. If you're a real man, you have to run a marathon. I was stupid, I was a kid, you don't believe me. But, and I thought I would never do that because in India nobody used to run. This was, 40 years ago. But when the Mumbai Marathon started in 2004, I told myself that, it's right here in my backyard. This is an opportunity and I cannot bypass this opportunity. So I started preparing for the half marathon. And it was traumatic. I could not run like more than 3 kilometers. Jog, like really slowly and painfully. And it was very boring, it was monotonous. I got to 5 kilometers, 7 kilometers, 10. I got to 15 kilometers and I was running on a treadmill at that time. And I said this, I don't know how tough it's going to be to do the last 5 or 6 kilometers at the event itself. But when I did the event, the first Mumbai Marathon, which was in 2004, I did the half marathon, and I finished 21 kilometers really comfortably. And it was like a revelation to me that something I thought that was going to be so tough was actually so simple because I was prepared. And it just taught me this one simple lesson that, preparation is everything, which we know in school, that if you study for your exam, you're going to pass. If you don't study, you're going to fail. But we forget it. And this was a great lesson to learn again, that anything in life, whatever the obstacle, you see the obstacle, you prepare for it, you pass it. That's it. So it was easy.
Milind, one of the most common
Was that the answer to your question?
Sort of.
Kind
But it's very
of.
academic and very like...
Okay, sorry, can I add something to it?
It's not
Another
real.
thing, let me tell
it's
you.
Not practical.
It's practical when you do it. Things are only practical when you do them. So what happened was I used to listen to music when I started running. So I had an iPod and all of that. And I used to wear shoes as well. So after some time, when I started running longer distances, I realized that I was not listening to the music anymore. In fact, the music had stopped when I realized that, the music has stopped. I didn't even realize when it stopped. What that meant to me was I was actually in tune with myself. I was listening more to my body and to my breathing and to my thoughts coming in and going out more than I was listening to that music that was blasting in my ear. So that was another important revelation, that when I had run a certain number of kilometers, I was getting into that space where these external things were not affecting me at all. I was completely internalizing everything. And that's the space where you need to be for healing. So when we talk about health, in India, we are probably more interested in hospitals than we are in health. We are more interested in cures and, rather than taking care of yourself. Whereas we should be more interested in building our immune systems and having healthy lifestyle practices. We say, okay, now we're going to be 40, we're going to get diabetes, we're going to have heart attacks, nothing can stop it.
Milind, we live in Delhi. Have you seen the air?
Yes, I have seen the air. I spend a lot of my time in Delhi. And there's nothing you can do individually to get away from pollution. But what you can do is make your body strong enough to deal with it. I'll tell you something. I do this event called Pinkathon, which is the biggest running event in the country today. It's in 8 cities. Today, 65,000 women ran in the Pinkathon across 8 cities this year. So what I tell people is this, that when it comes to breast cancer, doctors say that 1 in every 20 women in India is going to have breast cancer during her lifetime. In the West, in some countries, it's 1 out of every 8 women in their lifetimes will have breast cancer. In the future, it'll probably be every woman will have breast cancer. What does that mean to us? Okay, we'll find a cure. But how do you avoid it? How do you deal with it when you have it? You have to keep your body and your mind strong. Pollution. Of course, we'll find something to deal with it. We sign climate agreements and all of those, and things will happen. But it'll still take, to get back to a pristine environment and clean air, you'll probably take 20 or 30 years. We probably won't even be there. But if we want to avoid disease, and if we can't avoid it, if we want to deal with it, we have to maintain the best system that we already have, which is our body and our mind, to take us through that. So science has already shown you that a positive mindset can help you deal better with disease. Most disease is caused by stress anyway, and bad lifestyle. So you have a better lifestyle, you build a positive mindset, which is a discipline, you have to work at it, and you can either avoid disease or deal with it better. You can't cry and say, oh, there's pollution, what are we going to do? We live in Delhi. We live in Delhi, yes. And this is life.
Okay, Milind, the most common excuse to throw fitness out of the window is to say, oh, I don't have the time. What is your advice to people who are intention rich but time poor?
Well, then I don't think they're intention rich. Because to me, health is a priority. I believe for myself that if I don't have health, I have nothing. And therefore, health has to be the most important thing to me. And everything I do is, there is a thought that either this is good for my health, which is my mental health, my emotional health, and my physical health, or it's not good for my mental, physical, and emotional health. And if it's not, I don't do it. I mean, if I had a Ferrari, would I piss in the fuel tank? No. I mean, I don't know. Would you? Because this is what I have. I have got something that is a miracle of evolution. I have got a body and mind which we say is the pinnacle of evolution in the world today. Why would I abuse that? Why would I not make that my number one priority? So when you're talking about intentions, the intentions must be driven by this, that this is the most important thing I possess, is my physical and mental health. Why would I abuse that? Even this much.
Excellent. Milind, what is the most unfit Milind Soman has ever been? In your 50 years, do you ever remember being unfit? Have you ever seen the beginning of a belly?
Well, I have a little bit now, but no, unfit. So I would repeat that, fitness for me is the mind. Right. It's not the body. Right. You have to be fit for something. Fitness doesn't mean anything unless it has a purpose. Right. Like I said, you could be doing your job. I'm not fit to do your job, and you're probably not fit to do mine. You can't do an Ironman today, but maybe in the future you can. You could be fit enough to do an Ironman. So you have to decide the level of fitness you want to be at. And today, for me, to be at this level where I can just go out of this room and run 40 kilometers or 50 or 100 kilometers, that's where I want to be. Or go out of this room and swim 10 kilometers in the sea, that's where I want to be. Or even run an office. I have 3 businesses. So if you're thinking that I just act and I do this, I have an event company, I have a foundation, we're building a spa. So I do other things as well. And for me, fitness is dealing with life in a positive way. That's the level I want to be, that I can deal with life in a positive way, nurture my relationships, create positive working environments, run my companies the way I want, do the Iron Man, enjoy my life in a positive way while contributing maybe to the world at large. That is fitness for me.
Well, hopefully you're inspiring a lot of others. I have one last question before we're going to round up because we're running short of time.
They didn't ask me anything.
In my opening intro, we're running short of time.
Okay.
So we are going to be
All
wrapping
right.
up. In my opening intro, I compared you to 3 Bollywood stars. Shah Rukh Khan, Amir Khan, Salman Khan. They're all 50.
Are you going to ask me something controversial now?
I'm going to ask you something that's going to get you to be a little politically incorrect. Right? Out of the 3 of them, who do you think is the most fit and who is the least fit?
Well, I would say that a lot of them are, all 3 of them are really fit because it's very tough to deal with the situation that they're in. I've been in the public eye for almost 30 years now. I understand the pressures, and the pressures of where they're at are probably 10 times or 100 times more than what I have ever faced. So you have to be, look at Amitabh Bachchan, for example. I would say that he's the fittest person I probably have met. Because to have achieved what he has and to maintain it and to be sane, or appear sane at least, and to speak the way he does and carry himself the way he does at his age and after so many years is remarkable. So for Salman, for Shah Rukh, for Amir, to be there and just carry themselves the way they do is tremendously fit. But if you say physically fit, again, it's fit for what? They they're very happy doing their films. Right. They dance a lot, they do a lot of action. They have problems. I know I've read Shah Rukh has some problem with his neck. Salman has...
okay, so let me rephrase it. Let me rephrase it. Okay, because you're not answering the question. Just to let you know, because we're in Delhi, we don't have to be politically correct.
But if you're asking about physically fit...
out of those 3, who would you think is the most
fit?
likely to complete the Ironman challenge sometime in the future?
Well, I just said that anybody here can do it. So one of them, I think all
most
of them can
likely.
do it. Can I tell you who I think is the fittest person in Bollywood, in the film industry?
Out of these 3 first?
Apart from Amitabh Bachchan.
These 3?
Out of
at
these
50
3,
years old?
Who's the fittest? I'd say... it's difficult, actually.
So I've actually put Mr. Good with words at a little bit of a bind.
They all have problems, But let me say, we all have problems. Let me not put it that way. But I would say Amir, maybe, because Amir seems to me the most positive-minded person. Right. The most, let me not even say positive. Right. Let me say the most focused person.
Right. Well, thank you for answering that. Thank you for being the inspiration, Milind, that you've been. There are a lot of questions that may come in after we leave here. But thank you for talking to us.
2 questions? Just to prove they're not sleeping?
Fact, I know we're running out of time, but there were some gentlemen who would like a question.
I would like some men to ask me something.
Who's been waiting, sir.
Come on, men.
You could just quickly squeeze in your question.
Quick, I promise not to give long-winded answers.
Gentlemen on the right-hand side.
In fact, I can see many men waving their hands. But just one question, please.
It was very nice listening all along, very patiently, as she said. But there are certain things which I differ with. For instance, I am 63 today.
53?
63.
Oh, you don't look 63.
Thank you. Last year, sitting, and I connect with you in one way when you wanted to make a difference to your 50th year by doing this Ironman feat. The only difference with me was I was getting so bored with the same year celebration every time with the wife's and the children's doing the same rituals. So I decided and connived with my son that I'm going to go early morning, taking a bike all the way to Agra, which I was going to drive for after 40 years, and don't tell mom about it. Now this son of mine went and squeaked. No, Dad, you have to let mom know. She'll get panicked and da-da-da-da. So I get up quietly without knowing, and she walks up very quietly behind me. I'm also coming with you.
That's fantastic.
I said, no way. I am going this, I'm doing this alone, and nothing will happen. Don't worry, trust me. My son, who was into deep-sea diving somewhere in the world, somewhere there, I just told him I'm leaving with an SMS, and I went. Now, the point over here, this conversation, I came back doing very happy, returned fine, everything was good, perfect, was in a different time zone, as you very well said. And achieved and had pride in the fact that at this age, if I can do something, anybody can. Then in Delhi, I don't know if you're aware of, there is some devil's circuit which happens here once in a year that I did last year, again with the same feat of a challenging. Now for me, it is not only to do with mindset. It is to be motivated, and it comes very impulsively. And that time, if we all accept that fact that yes, we can do it, then the rest follows. With you, the difference is I think you have got too much to this with your spiritual mind also, which for me, it's not there, which I don't think is required. It's just your intentions and your willingness to do it. And that's why I do it. So the spiritual thing, my question is it really required or not? Because I feel it's not, but I would like your views on that one.
So I think in a nutshell, how to remain consistently motivated to achieve fitness.
Is that your question, how to remain sufficiently motivated? No.
How deeply are you spiritually into this particular factor of your mind?
Nothing is important. Whatever makes you comfortable, whatever you're happy with, whatever you're passionate about, that is important.
Right, I had quite that feeling. Because the way you talk, it was more on a spiritual bent rather than anything else.
That's me. I'm a little...
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, sir. Can we have another question? In the interest of time, I would just request to kindly keep your questions crisp and short. I can see a gentleman there.
Gentleman.
Would you please hand over the mic? Thank you. So we're just giving you the mic.
Okay, the question of the day. Any specific reason why you've come barefoot and you're not wearing shoes? That's your question, yes?
I don't like shoes. I don't like shoes.
The temperature of Delhi.
Well, yesterday I ran 15 kilometers on the road at 7 in the morning. It was quite cold, and the road was cold as well. It's not a problem. I enjoy being barefoot. I enjoy the feeling of the ground. It makes me, it really enhances my positive feeling.
What about things that can cut your feet?
I don't step on them.
What about restaurants that won't let you in without your shoes?
Then I would wear sandals or something. I mean, there are still clubs that don't allow you with sandals. I wouldn't go there.
What about things that are really dirty to step on?
I can wash my feet. I can't clean my mind.
Excellent.
Yeah.
The next question.
There.
Right there. There's a mic right behind you.
Hi, Milind.
Hello.
See, we all are living a very hectic lifestyle. Can you tell us what do you do to combat the stress?
I run.
Any other tips for all corporate leaders?
As human beings, we are very lucky that this stress, the negative energy that builds up as stress, can easily be released through physical exercise. It's been proven scientifically. So when you're stressed, if you go for a run or you exercise, your stress levels reduce. We know that. So it's very simple. You choose an activity that you enjoy. You find an activity that you enjoy, and you will be able to reduce the stress levels.
And I totally second that. Sir.
So, Milind.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are you?
Right there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Milind,
I've been a sports person when I was younger. I was into horse riding, swimming, athletics, everything. I used to do it. After that, as you were narrating, you really left sports. And somehow I've not been able to convince myself getting up in the morning, going for exercise and all that stuff. So you were, when we were speaking, and one of the things which came out was you were telling there's some incentives to be fit. Besides a fit body, there's some other incentives to get motivated and start this. And one of the reasons was, one of the incentives which you spoke about was having a younger girlfriend and all that stuff. In my case,
yes.
that cannot be an incentive because my wife will kill me for that. So,
but your wife would probably appreciate.
What could be some other incentive which
your
I
wife
can think
would probably appreciate it if you were fitter. I think so. I mean, she's not here, otherwise I would have asked her and she would have said, yes, I agree. But I can tell you that. It's an incentive. It'll help you. If you have problems, I don't know. But see, what is the bigger incentive than feeling fantastic? Like when people ask me, how are you? I say, amazing. That's it. I don't say, oh, I'm fine, I'm great. I'm amazing. And that's how I feel. And the reason I feel that is because of the things that I do. I take care of myself. That's it. It's a priority.
All right. On that note, we'll have to end this session. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you very much. It was great.
Thank you, Milind.
so
Great
much.
meeting you again. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would just like Jamal and Milind to kindly stay on the stage. We have a small token of appreciation. Can we have the Group Editorial Director, Broadcast and New Media, Ms. Kalipuri, to kindly come on stage and hand over the gift. All right, put your hands together. That was Milind Soman speaking to us and giving us a rather inspiring message on how to keep fit and think fit.